Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're working on this Yardworks 10.5 horsepower 29-inch 2-stage snowblower. This is a resale unit. We're going to go over the whole thing. We're going to check the drive system, belts, pulleys, make sure everything is working in there. We'll lubricate and get everything nice and freed up. We're going to check the drive belts, the auger belts, tune it up, oil change, and go from there. I'm not sure if this even runs. So it's what is it? November 21st. I bought this machine, I think, in early April, just for a resale unit. I unloaded it off the truck and threw it in the backyard, and it just sat there uncovered. I know better than that. But I knew it was a resale unit, and we're going to go through it anyways. Usually the worst that happens is it gets water in the carb, but we're going to check that. He might have started it when I bought it. I'm not sure if it even ran. Anyways, stay tuned after the intro there. We'll jump into this thing and see what we get. Okay, let's do a little preliminary here. Get you zoomed in somewhat. We're just gonna go look at stuff. Auger seems to be okay. No bends in it. That's nice. Chute control works. We're gonna lubricate that. Spark plug is old and rusty. It's gonna get a new one anyways. Has oil in it. It's at the just above the add mark, and it is black. It's going to get some new. Throttle all seems to be moving. Seems to be from here anyways. It's missing some stuff. There's a bracket that holds this to the carburetor, and it's broken. Probably have a spare in my collection of junk. Auger control lever. Something's moving. Drive lever. Something's moving. Gear shifter. That's stiff. That's going to get fixed. Look in the gas tank here. It doesn't smell bad, but I see water. That's going to get flushed out. Uh-oh. Fuel line is gummy and sticky and mushy. Well, that's going to get a new one. This tire moves on the shaft. That's good. That the wheel moves on the axle shaft. This one? Yep, this one moves too. Awesome. That's going to make it easy. We're eventually going to pull these off and clean the shafts and get some anti-seize on there. Okay, so that's the prelim. Yeah. It's not a bad unit. It's a big unit, 10.5 horse. That'll throw some snow. It's seen, you know, better days on the finish, but it is what it is. Oh, the skids are worn out. Maybe I should pick up a pair of those. Yeah, they're pretty worn. I'll grab a new pair of those anyways. They're inexpensive enough. Okay. That's our prelim. Alright, so we're under the belly of the beast, so to speak. The shift lever moves this friction pulley back and forth on that hexagonal shaft. What happens is over time it gets rusty and the old grease gets thickened up and sticky. So the way to fix that shifting problem is get a little brake clean on a rag and just clean the old grease off. Make it not sticky anymore. There's no rust on this shaft, so it's just grease, old grease. So just clean that off. Let's get the shift removed. Oh, it's better already. Not fixed, but better. That's all right. You get a little bit of a cleaner spot on the rag there. Just give that friction disc a wipe. Well, since we're in there looking, I see a problem already. There are no belts on the auger. That's the auger pulley. And there ain't no belts on it. Can't turn anymore because it's sitting on the block. The augers are actually turning, but yeah, best be putting a pair of belts on that. Our drive belt is underneath here. We're going to pull the cover off the top anyways, where the belts are, so we can see them. But in any case, let's get that side of the pulley wiped. Make sure there's no oil spots on it. Make sure any corrosion is smooth, which it is. Give this pulley a wipe. Here we go. So, white lithium grease is your friend here. And not much of it. You don't need a whole lot. White lithium grease doesn't tend to get thick and sticky in the cold. And it prevents the rust. So we'll just put some on there. And just a skin of it. Like you just want to thinly coat everything. So we get some lubrication. And it prevents corrosion. You also don't want a lot on there because it'll fling off and hit that, possibly hit the metal pulley there, the disc. Oh, that moves a lot better already. Easy peasy. Another little spot here. Just smear it around. I've already lubricated this pivot and that pivot, so that moves nice and free. Yeah, we are gonna have to split this. There's 6 bolts that hold the auger housing on the front to here. 3 along this side, 3 along this side, and then they come apart. And you can change those auger belts. Now they come in a set, so there's a pair of them here, and I do stock them in a set. Okay, so let's get this handle out of the way, this chute control. That's real neat that it's 2-piece. I like that. Sometimes they just hang around and they stay in your way. There's a couple of cotter pins. And this rod should slide right out. Oh, I've already ordered my skid plates too. The skid shoes. So there's supposed to be 2 Phillips here. One is missing, and the other one is still bolted to the bracket, which is not attached to the carburetor anymore because it's busted. There's a stress crack right on the front here. When we get everything all back together with a proper bracket on here, it'll be fine. It's not going to get any worse because we'll make sure that all the bolts are in, because there's one missing here too. So all we need is an 8mm to get that off. 5/16. Before we do that, let's slide that choke knob off of there. Might as well get into the carburetor. We've got to do it all anyways. It all needs to be done. So there will be a wire down the bottom here. That is your kill wire. Ow! For this key. There's another kill here on the throttle lever. Something sticky. Oh, there it is right there. The throttle arm. Throttle arm sticky. Let's get a little penetrating oil in there. Let it do its magic. While we're doing the rest of it. That's better already. Better already. And this carb is a mess. Oh, there's something in it. Let's see what comes out of it. It's definitely yellow and crappy, and there's a big blob of water on the bottom of it. Uh-huh. So might as well get that bowl off of there. A little primer line. This bracket is actually 2 bolts here hold it to the carburetor, and then it's supposed to come out like this, and then the cover sits on it, 2 screws go in it, but this side's busted off, long gone. This side's broken off and not attached to nothing. It needs some loving, but I'm sure we can get her going. It's Phillips heads on the back, 7/16, not on the front. There's a little zip tie on this primer line. I haven't seen that before. I usually don't have them. Somebody's been after it. Primer line's full of crap. Gassy water. Yep. Let's see if we can get that in there. Yeah, cracked loose. Sometimes they just come right out like that. Sometimes you gotta hold the nut. One bolt, one nut. I'm gonna just leave the bolt in there so the carb doesn't fly off. Still a fuel line on the inside to get to with a pair of pliers. And our throttle linkage is in the hole on the right. There's numerous holes. If you take yours apart, make sure you get them back in the right hole. Well, that's not gonna fit. Phillips bit. I can hold that with a wrench. Turn it with a 5/16 wrench. Yeah, like that. Hey, there we go. I'm gonna hold the nut with my finger and spin the bolt with the bit. Beautiful. Nuts off, and again we're gonna leave the bolt in there so carb doesn't fall off on us. Still need to get pliers for the fuel line. Our carb is broken loose from that. Have those bolts out now. We'll reach in there and get the fuel line. Oh yeah, somebody's definitely been in here because fuel line clamp is half there. Broken off. Yeah, there's not much left in that tank when I drained it. A little bit. So it's on the hole on the right. There you go, carburetor's off. And it's a mess. That's gross. So it's 3/8 head. Should be one here. And one on the same spot on the other side. Ew. Yes, the auger belts are gonzo, just gone. And the drive belt is not very good. So, we're gonna put a drive belt on it too. Already got the skids on order. Well, they're in the shopping cart at my place. The auger housing skids. The return spring on the drive is okay. Let's get you in there. Give me a sec, hang on. I'll get you out of the stand here. Road trip. So it was the one screw here for the cover. Similar on the other side. There's our drive belt. Drive belt, these are the double pulley for the auger belt, which are not even there. I was checking the return spring on this. So that's the activate the drive. No, I can't activate the drive lever. That's the auger lever. See the auger pulley pulling in. But the drive lever also does the same thing, it pulls it in. Don't actually know it's all spring loaded. But that belt's no good. She's no good. It's worn thin. It's got some corrosion on it from being in the pulley forever. So we'll just order a new one. And these are the 3 bolts that we have to take out, 3 nuts, 3 on each side. And then this unit will split right there, and that's how you change your auger belts. But that will all be on video. Lucky you. Okay, without going too much further into the machine, I decided to jump into the carburetor and see what kind of disaster we got going on in there. I'm sure there's something in here. Oh yeah, piles of water. As you can see, you guys won't be able to see it. Oh yeah, the dark colored stuff at the bottom there, that's water. The dark orangey looking stuff. Yeah, that doesn't run on water, right, Bill? Let's get this off of here. I just gave the outside a little shot of carb cleaner and hit it with a blowgun to get most of the goop off the outside. Our jet looks clear. It might have just had some water in it. Well, that's not bad. It looks pretty clean. Inside, outside was a filthy mess. I might not even put that through the ultrasonic cleaner. Just give the bowl a little spray, make sure all the debris comes out of it. Yeah, that looks all right. That gasket has seen better days. It's crusty. Let's get the float off of there if we can first. Yeah, it floats off. Solid needle, which means it's a rubber seat. Yeah, that's rotten garbage. And I mean, I can push the emulsion tube out of there, but really there's no tiny holes in it. These ones don't have that. It's a plastic one. And usually you push them out, there's nothing wrong with them. And then you mangle them as you're removing them. So I'm not even gonna bother. I'm gonna blow some air through this stuff. We do have to get this bracket off of here because that's busted. That bracket's supposed to, that's what holds that outside shield on. But both ends of this bracket are broken. The outside shield was just kind of flopping around. So this bracket is rubbish. We are going to pull the idle speed jet out. It's on the side here. Yeah. We're going to pull that out. Just run a wire through it, make sure it's clear. Where's my wires? There we go. Just check, make sure the main doesn't have a bunch of poo in it. No, it's perfectly clear. Okay. That's good. Little crusties on the outside of the carb bowl here. We'll give that a little, just a little gentle cleaning with some sandy paper. Just get the corrosion off there, the crusties. So the new gasket at least has a chance. I did get some parts in today. I did get the skids, the 2 skid shoes for the bottom of the auger housing. I got the new drive belt. I got the auger belts for this particular machine. We still have to pull the recoil starter off and, oh, that's nice and clean. Still have to pull the recoil starter off and the whole front of the engine and fire a new fuel line in through there because that's what's in there. It's crusty. Well, I'm just going to shoot carb cleaner into that inlet. Yeah, it's clear. Straight down the emulsion tube. That's clear. Let that dry. Let's get that out of there. This is where most of the problems happen, right here on this small screw. It's a jet. A little tiny passage in it gets plugged up. Oh, let's just throw it on the ground. Yeah, this little guy. Let's get you zoomed in a little bit here. I'm going to grab a tiny little wire. It's guitar string, actually. Put it right down the end of the snoot. Oh, it passes through nice and easy. I don't see any junk on it. There's a hole in the end and there's 2 holes through the side. You can see the wire as it goes through that center hole. Oh yeah, it's beautiful. There's no obvious reason why this carburetor won't work. Give her a little shot of carb clean down there as well. Everything flowed out. Nice and simple. We get her reinstalled. Just snug. Good enough. Yep, there's no reason this won't work. Let's get our needle back on there and we'll check the float height. Well, looks good to me. Let's see if I can get you. There you go. That float height is fine. So I'm going to blow in the fuel inlet here. At this position, the carb is upside down. So at this position, it should not pass air. And it doesn't. If I were to flip this upside down, it should pass air. And it does. Outstanding. Our float pin is here. There you go. Float pin is here. The flat part of the bowl is over here. So that's the way they go on. Just like so. Should work just fine. Okay, so let's get into these belts a little bit here. So I've gone a couple of steps ahead. Not too many. I've got the rear end blocked up here. I got the wheels off for ease of access. I do have a 2x4 underneath the actual chute housing. And I've got all the nuts off that side. There's 3 on that side and there's 3 down here to take off to get it separated. But before we do that, we have to remove the auger drive cable. That one. So I'm just going to unhook it from this wheel, this little roller. I'm going to zip this bracket off for ease of access. Yeah, it's just a hook that hooks in there, so it's just a matter of getting it unhooked. There we go. It's free. So ideally, oh, I do have one nut left over here. So ideally, everything should just slide apart now. In a perfect world. Get that out of the way. I've got a support under the back here so the engine and everything doesn't go flying backwards. That one off. This one off. And you should just be able to wiggle them apart. Get that one. And there we go. There we go. She's apart. So that's that. You have to separate it to get the belts in. Now the belts you can get in a pair because these are a pair. Below a certain horsepower, it's 1 belt. And above a certain horsepower, I think it's 8. I don't remember. Above a certain horsepower anyways, it's going to be twin belts. We'll just get them kind of set in there. There's a brake or a little keeper on there. You got to make sure the belts go underneath it. There we go. There's the pair of belts. While we're here, maybe we'll change that drive belt because I got one of those too. So we'll pull our spring-loaded idler over, unhook it, roll it down under the pulley, and hopefully it comes out easy. Sometimes there's stuff in the way. Oh, that one's out easy. Ooh, that's crusty. There's our replacement. Let's just get it looped back around our pulleys where they were. That one, that one, that one, Got our little spring-loaded idler back over there. It might be stuck under a keeper somewhere. Hang on. No, it appears to be good. Just tight, because it's new. Get in your home. Oh, easy. Don't move everything. We'll just use the engine to roll it in. There we go. Perfect. That's much better. The old one was actually stretched because this idler was in farther. That's good. It's good. Now we can slide our parts back together without throwing everything on the floor. Gently now. Yeah, the block is not precisely exactly the right size, so it's kind of tilting stuff for me. Let's tilt the motor down a little. Okay. One washer, one nut, and I'll get lots of room now. I get all these on. It's just started anyways, just loose. With their lock washers. This side's all started. We're just going to loop those belts over there when we get to that point. So I'm going to use a pull cord to assist me. There's one on the wrong pulley. Go a little further. There, now it's on the right pulley. Get this one up there. Rotate it over. There we go. She's in. Try and finagle that cable back on there. Was not a treat to get it off, so. There we go. Yeah, it's just a bit of a wiggle to get that in there. You still seeing what I'm seeing? Yeah, close enough. All right, we'll put this roller back on. Just hook it back underneath this roller. Now we may need to adjust the tension on the cable. Maybe we're gonna try and sneak it in there. Nope, we'll just adjust the tension on the cable. There we go. Beautiful. It's actually tight, too tight. I'm gonna have to adjust it at the handle. But we can get these bolted up. The other three on the other side. Those three. That's very, very tight. It's too tight. If it's too tight, what'll happen is the auger will always turn. So before I go messing with that stuff, yep, this cable is adjusted absolutely as tight as it will go. So we'll have to slack it off a little bit. But before I go do that, we're gonna get everything running and the other way. Before I go adjusting the cable, we'll get it running and we'll just check our augers, because it's just putting a little bit of tension on the belt right now, but this is very tight. That's far too tight. All right, what's next? Fuel line. I've already loosened the 2 screws for the electric start button, because that has to be removed. And then there's 2 bolts here, 2 bolts on the side. And what I'm going to do is, instead of unhooking everything, this wiggles out, that's just your kill wire. instead of unhooking all this bracketry, I'm just going to take the 2 screws out of it, lay it out of the way. And then I'll take the 2 bolts out of the top and the 2 bolts out of the side of the front cover here. And we'll get that cover off and see how our fuel line looks. So I'm going to jump into that and turn the camera back on. Okay, so I've angled the machine a little bit better so you can see it. I just took the 2 screws out of the throttle assembly and it's just kind of hanging there. I did not need to unhook that ground wire, by the way, the kill wire. I've already got the 2 bolts out of the top. Let's get the 2 side ones out. We can get the recoil starter off. This should slide out. There we go. Sometimes the shift shaft is in the way, the shift lever, like this one is. So we'll just unclip it here. Let it hang out of the way. There we go. So our fuel line runs from the bottom of the fuel tank on the far side, over the starter, behind the flywheel and such, and pops out here. All right, so I got the hose in and routed, and it took all my tricks to get it in there because it's not nice to get in. A couple of little clips and clamps that it's got to pass through, and it was just not nice. Anyways, let's get the starter back on. I don't know where the half went. So the fuel line is routed. It's plugged into the bottom of the gas tank. It's got a fuel shutoff valve on it now because it didn't before. That's important. You got to have that stuff. It just makes it so much better. Come springtime, well, anytime you use it, actually, what I would do is when you're done using it, shut the fuel valve off and let it run. Just let it run until the carburetor drains itself and it's out of gas, and gas in the tank, but nothing in the carburetor. Let it run dry, cover it up, wait for the next snowfall. I'm definitely going to have to loosen that, and I'm not going to be able to get you in there. Well, yeah. A little barrel clamp. I have to loosen the jam nut. I think it's a 3/8. I don't think I can get you guys in there easily. It's way up inside there. 3/8. Yep, 3/8. Oh yeah, then it doesn't swivel. There we go. That's better. Much better. Now the belts don't turn when I pull the pull cord, because they did. They did at first. I did manage to find a new bracket, so that's good. Let's get this throttle assembly bolted back up. This arm needs to come up here. I actually purchased a machine one time that I don't know what happened, but this throttle lever was pushed way over. It was jammed, and the machine didn't run because it was full of water. So all I did was I drained the water out, and it actually, I put fresh gas in it, it fired up. But when it fired up, it went like 17,000 RPM. Like, it was way over revving. Not good. Got that sorted though. That's all it was, is this arm was way in the wrong position. Let's get our throttle linkage hooked up into the correct hole. Gasket. Oh. Gasket on the bolts. Carburetor on the bolts. Get nut started here. It started on the back. I left that fuel line a little bit long, and it's perfect. It'll work just perfect. So that's nice. Let's get our primer line on the right side. Fuel line. Should be able to just wiggle it on there. Just get that nut started on the back side there first. And I should be able to wiggle the carburetor around and get the fuel line engaged. Just want the nut started. There we go. So, get our primer tube out of the way for this minute, and get our fuel line installed. It's like a job for needle nose pliers. Yeah, there we go. She's going. Fully engaged. Perfect. That one's snugged up. The back one's snugged up. There's only two. Before I forget, let's get our primer line hooked up. Might go behind that fuel line. Don't remember where I got it from. Oh, that'll work just fine. Perfect. Well, let's just trim the end off. Should be enough on your on the hose there to lose a 1/4 inch and still be okay. Oh yeah, that's nice. It works. Let's get those bolts tightened up. A lot of times you don't even need to hold the nut with a wrench. The nut, you just turn the bolt and everything will tighten up. Snug. Work back and forth. Tighten everything down evenly. That one's good and tight. That one's good and tight. Everything appears to be functioning correctly. Okay. We can put the cover on. Now that it's got all the appropriate bolts to hold it on. We'll get the kill safety switch wire hooked up. It's a little spade terminal at the bottom here. That's that. Hooked over the choke rod. Slid over there. Let's get that 1 Phillips screw started. I think I'll have to source another one because I'm not sure where it went. This little 8mm guy up here. So there's one more screw to go here, and there's a little bolt that goes through the front here. If everything lines up the way it needs to. But I'm gonna have to source that hardware. Okay, let's finish this one up and put it to bed. So I managed to get the hardware installed for this. Got the chute rod and all that stuff bolted back on. Everything's good to go. It does have a new spark plug in it. We're gonna see if it runs, how it runs. I'm sure it's gonna run. It's all bolted back down. Everything seems to be back to where it needs to be. So let's see if it runs. I haven't checked the electric start yet. But it doesn't matter because I wanted to be able to start with a pull cord anyways. So the safety is in place. We got about a half a throttle-ish. Choke fully on. There is a little bit of fuel in there I put in. Turn our fuel valve on. Give it a second. Bottom of the carburetor is dry, meaning nothing is leaking. That's good. well, let's see what happens. Ooh, the gear shifter is smooth. You move it with one finger now. All right, there is oil in it. It's dirty, but, and it's a little low, but we're gonna change it anyways. But I wanna get it warmed up and get everything circulated. Okay, primer. Couple of shots. Choke is on, ready? One pull. Second pull. That's nice. Great. Let's see if the electric start works. Haven't tested that yet. Throttle. Beautiful. That's awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it run and warm up and change the oil. I'll come back on the camera and we'll close it out. Okay, so to recap, got the carb working. It didn't even need ultrasonic cleaning. We just took it apart, made sure everything was good in it, and it is. That's fine. We replaced that broken bracket. Changed the oil, new spark plug, new fuel line with a shutoff valve, because it's important to have one. New drive belt for the friction or the traction drive. A new pair of auger belts for the augers. And I adjusted that cable just a little bit so it would release and engage properly to make sure that the augers don't spin when it's idling or when your hand's not on the lever. That's a dangerous condition. You want to make sure that they don't spin when they're not supposed to. Did a drive service on it, made sure that the friction wheel and everything moved nice and free. I did check the front. There are shear pins in it, not bolts. So if they were bolts, I would have changed them out for the actual proper shear pins. Yeah, decent resale unit. 10.5 horse, 29 inch. That's a big machine. Most snowblowers are 5 horse, 6 horse. This was pretty big. Should throw some snow. Anyways, she's ready for resale. Thanks for joining me, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you do subscribe, give that bell a dingle. It'll let you know when I upload new videos. And until the next one, take care.